So when do we buy? I never seem to time that quite right. Hi everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. Today I want to talk about timing when you buy something. Obviously, we've seen a lot of things change over the last couple months, weeks, year. I've been around for about a year in Veve. And I want to talk and have a little discussion about when you should buy something, because I think it's really changed over the last couple months for a variety of reasons, obviously, in the market and whatnot. But I have three different things I want to work through, and definitely would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. So, common knowledge is basically when one of these, big time drops hits Veve, we all go for it. And generally that makes sense. You're talking about a Miles Morales, an AF-15, Darth Vader, etc. Because, when they're dropping for 80 gems or 60 gems, whatever it might be, for the most part, especially over the first couple days, there's a lot of FOMO and whatnot. You're going to be able to, if you were to sell it, make your money back plus some profit. And that definitely makes sense for a lot of these. Unfortunately, as we know, they're becoming quite scarce. Miles only had 3,000 mints, so your chance when, maybe 10,000, maybe even 20,000 people went for it is relatively low. I did not get Miles on the drop. I tried, but just not fast enough, or the luck wasn't with me that day. But what do we do after that, especially if it's a piece that we want or it's a piece that we are looking to invest in? I obviously always say you need to try to make that determination beforehand. Is this something I'm investing in, or is this something I really love and want to keep? And sometimes those get kind of clouded together, so you have to be careful, and that's why I try to differentiate too, and that's often why you'll see me and other people buy multiples if we can. But I think one of the things that has been knowledge that people thought for some of these bigger grails is you want to get in right away that first day. Now, you don't want to buy right away in the first couple hours, but you really have to watch it, and it's kind of like this is where you need experience. Sometimes you do, because you can see it fluctuating up and down, and people are just throwing it on the floor. They get scared because they want to reap profits, and so. But for the most part, for the big grails, generally people always say, wait some time, watch the market, even wait potentially 24 hours. And I would say, I looked at a bunch of data, and I would say that's normally true, but I actually have some other things that I want to talk about here where maybe we want to wait even longer now. Let me just throw out a couple numbers here because I think they're good for them. And I think Miles is a very interesting drop, and of course we can extrapolate off of that. But it's a huge IP. Everybody and most people know who Miles Morales is now. And there was, it was scarce. And I always also talk about who are these kind of super whales and whales. We think there's around maybe, 10 super whales and maybe 100 whales on the app right now. These are guys that just accumulate. They have a lot of money, and they just kind of throw it around. And that's okay. We need those. We definitely need those people on the app. But what does it say about the rest of us kind of normal people who are trying to, acquire some of these big time grails? So right now, Miles, about almost 2 weeks later, is in at 284 are listed, and it's selling for about 217 gems. That's the floor right now. And then the rare is about 164 listed and at 350 roughly. I won't talk about the secret rare. It is around, I think, around 6K right now. But we'll talk about the other two rarities for this video. So what that's telling you is that I always think about it like this way. There's 284 people. Now, some of those people are selling it for really, really lots of money. They're really just kind of flexing. They don't necessarily want to sell. But I looked, there's probably, 20, 30, 40 people of the rares, etc., that what I would call are motivated buyers. In other words, their price is close enough to the floor that they're trying to move that piece. And there's no buyers. If there were, then it would obviously be eaten up. So we know right now that there is, 1750. Myself, I bought a couple of the rare, which is the hoodie Miles. I love those. And so there's probably less than 1,000 people that have one of these, but are yet not willing to pay, more than $200, $250 for one. So it kind of shows you that there is a lack of liquidity in the marketplace. And really, we don't have as many users as we want. We all know this. But I like to put these numbers in perspective so I understand what's going on. And that's why I like to think of Miles now as the stake in the ground. This is where we can pivot and look at, mints that are larger, IPs that are more popular and less popular, but it is a stake that we can, do numbers off of going forward. In other words, if it were to be like Daredevil, for example, who did not mint out, there's probably about 2,000 or so that did mint, so it's 2,000, and it's selling for around 40 gems. He's not as popular as Miles. There's less mints in the marketplace, and so that's just an interesting pivot point if we get another character at his level. So, for example, let's say Ms. Marvel drops or some other character like that, not as big as like a Spider-Man or a Hulk or an Iron Man, although we've already seen the FA of Iron Man, but you know what I mean, something like that. We could do numbers on what we expect to think what the value is going to be based on the mint numbers. And what you'll find, and I've looked at a lot of the marketplace, is that even some of these more popular figures never really drop below 40 gems. And at that point, I think people just, there's no profit there. It's so low, there's just no point in kind of selling it, so they're just keeping it. Or they just, kind of shut off the app and they're kind of waiting for other catalysts to come along and bump the market. But at this point, it seems like when things fall to like 50, 40, something like that, and then comics, obviously, those can really fall. Those can fall all the way, depending on the rarity, to, $2, etc. I have kind of made this rule for myself, which I don't buy things over 50 gems unless I really understand what they are, or really want them, or really understand kind of how I think they're going to move, and I have evidence that they're going to move. So, and I'm going to show you some other numbers in a second here about why, you should really, this pivot point of like 40, 50 gems, be very careful buying things above that. Okay, so other numbers that I have. So I looked at Daredevil, Mysterio, the Darth Vader TIE Fighter, things that have kind of dropped in the past 30, 60 days. And the reason why this is important, and I've said this before, is because we did have a big pivot like 60 days ago, or a couple months ago, and that is where we were able to cash out. So that we didn't have before. They also banned gems about maybe 60 to 90 days ago, gem buying, so you couldn't buy gems anymore. So now we're kind of in this different phase. You can't really compare to things beforehand, like Darth Vader or the golden moments last year, etc. So now we're in this new phase where people are buying, we think, 1-to-1, and you can cash your gems out. So that has obviously depressed the market some, and obviously the global events have depressed as well. But that's where we're at right now. But that's why I'm just comparing things in the last kind of 60 days. But when you look at those, this is the magic number, I think, when you want to buy. Now, once again, I don't even know if I can follow this, but this is what I saw with some of these drops. And that is that if you buy day one, even if you're trying to get a good price, the price may escalate over the next couple days, but then continues to slide and fall over the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So for Miles, that would be in a couple days. Daredevil, obviously, and Silver Surfer, those have passed us by. But it's interesting because after 2 weeks, the price has fallen to a point where, like I said, everybody has kind of got one that wants one, and it's stabilized. It just kind of sits there until we either get more users or there's some other massive catalyst that pushes, like utility announced for that particular item. So it's my recommendation, and what I've seen, obviously do your own research and whatnot, that it seems around 2 weeks is when it kind of falls to where it's going to be and then stabilizes. Once again, you can see ups and downs, but when you're buying at that price range, it seems to be around about the right price. So for myself, I'd like to stack a couple more of these mild hoodies. I may want to wait a couple more days and then see where the price point's at right now. Now, I did see a big exception, and that was with Darth Vader. Now, granted, I just said I didn't look at things, months and months ago, but I will note that after 2 or 3 weeks, it had a massive spike. But then it did slide back down, and we're seeing it slide. And there's just too many mints. Like I said, it seems to be when you look at Miles Morales, even 1750, which is the rare, is too many mints now. It's going to slide. In other words, there's not enough people that want to just continuously hold it. The fandom is not strong enough right there for the price point. So when is it going to turn? So if you're actually able to actually follow this, kind of process, wait 2 weeks before you were to buy into anything, I think that, when would it change? And we just don't know. I think you'll want to continue to watch Veve's Twitter, obviously follow this channel, or me on Twitter, and a bunch of other great, like Veve Fox, or Ecomi Wiki, all these different tools, my NFT tracker that are tracking different prices. But we could perhaps see the marketplace kind of start moving up a little bit. But really, we want to see, for example, if we did see a different, more aggressive approach to marketing. We did see kind of the economy turn, the world economy turn maybe. Then maybe this is the wrong mentality. Maybe we need to go back to what we saw before, which is if you were to buy something on drop, maybe you do wait that 24-hour period, but then you could see gains over the next 2-3 months as they continue to grow, as the listings go down and more fans come in. But that's just not what we're seeing right now. So my recommendation is to kind of wait before you buy, even for these big time grails like Miles Morales. I guess I need to be more patient. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll talk to y'all soon.